Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Orca Coolers, and if you want a cooler, a tumbler, they have all sorts of cool stuff. They have barrel tumblers. They're 12 ounces. They look like a whiskey barrel. They have bigger tumblers. They have hydras that you can go take working out, and of course, they have those roto-molded coolers, but you didn't hear this from me. Starting Sunday, November 14th, it's going to start their holiday deals. So what I want you to do is starting the 14th, look out for all the deals they have, but you can also use code DADSEASON, that's DADSEASON, and you will get 20% off your order at orcacoolers.com. We also want to thank our sponsors at distilleryproducts.com. If you want the best laser etched glassware at the best prices, they also have some cool other swag on that website that you can use if you are a store, a distillery, or a bourbon group. Reach out to me. I'd love to get you in touch with my friends at distilleryproducts.com. Last but certainly not least, I want to let you know that today's show is also sponsored by Action247.com, Tennessee's only sports book by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. And if you want to get in on the action, there's so much going on this week. Yes, the World Series is over. Congrats again to the Braves, but hockey's going on. The Champions League is going on. NBA is going on. We have football, NFL football, SEC football. Action 24/7 has all sorts of boosts, especially on Friday. There's boosts you can use today. You can also parlay that boost with code DADS100, which means Action 24/7. When you use that code, they will match up to $400 of your first deposit. That's pretty damn cool. Check them out, action247.com. Use code DADS100. So Zeke, I feel like we haven't caught up in a while. We've done shorter shows. We've been really trying to piece things together. You've been on vacation. While this is coming out, I will be on my way to East Tennessee for Grains and Grits. You will be staying home, and that's pretty normal. We haven't caught up. And I have to tell you, while we haven't been catching up, my dogs ate my AirPod Pros. And then today, my wallet was in my coat pocket, and your favorite dog, the shifty one, Waffle, got his nose and mouth up in my coat, pulled my wallet out, and ate my debit card.
It can't be that expensive to buy them like a leather rawhide chew toy thing. What other attraction would they have to your wallet to dig it out of a jacket pocket?
There are chew toys all around the house, too. That's the worst part about it.
Don't know what to tell you, bud, other than I'm moving into first place on my fantasy team in the league this week. But I've also lost Derrick Henry, so I'm not sure how the rest of the season's going to bode for old Zeke.
Are you comparing losing Derrick Henry to losing my debit card?
No, I'm just saying it sucks because I'm in number one, but literally it's going to be a lot harder to win without Derrick Henry.
Well, hold that thought.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. And Zeke, if we're going to talk football, I feel like we should mention our friends at Action247.com. There's already been an ad, but just reiterate, use code DADS100. On your first deposit, they will match up to $400. But you're talking about Derrick Henry. You know the Titans are in talks for Adrian Peterson, right?
I mean, I saw that, but you know, there's a waiver line in fantasy, and I'm not the top priority on waivers, so.
I mean, 36 years old, though. I wonder if he could do it. I know you don't watch the Titans and think like that's my team. Are you a Falcons fan? Like at heart? I don't feel like you have any loyalty to anyone or anything except for Georgia.
Yeah, it comes football. It's all college. Go Dogs, alma mater. Pros, I mean, the Falcons were shit growing up. I mean, you couldn't watch them if you wanted to because it was blacked out because no one went to the games when I was a kid.
Isn't that the biggest BS ever? It's like you can't get it on local television if the game's not a sellout. Who came up with that provision?
I mean, at the same time, I almost wonder if that's a thing. Like I haven't run into that in so long, but I definitely remember as a kid just being like, well, guess nobody wanted to go, so now nobody can see the game. Oh, well.
Well, no, I mean, that was a big thing for a while. It still is, I think. If it's not a complete sellout or if there's a certain threshold it hasn't met. I feel like, though, in this day and age, even if that is still a thing, that the local people would just throw a shit fit.
Well, yeah, and even then, I mean, seems like you're, almost adding insult to injury, considering you're already going to admit, like, yeah, nobody wanted to come to the game, and now we're not going to get the ad and TV money from running the game on the TV, so we're really just not going to make any money on, today's event as a revenue franchise. Well, that doesn't really seem to be too smart.
Yeah, nothing's coming their way. That's when checks stop getting filled and people get a check and it's like, no. Just cash that Friday. Don't cash that today. Anyway, Zeke, you've been well. I'm happy you've been well. Any story you want to catch anybody up with, or you want to just get right to it?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's been a busy few days.
You know what? Maybe it'll be next episode. Today's episode, we are drinking Elijah Craig C921. It was released in September. We're just getting around to it. It's 12 years old, 78% corn, 12% malted barley, 10% rye. It is 120.2 proof, so it's still on that low scale of barrel proof Elijah Craig. I mean, 120 is pretty low considering where we've seen some of them in the past. It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah. But you're going to kind of wonder now that it's becoming more commonplace and repetitious in both, Stag Junior line, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof line. You just don't see them consistently where they used to be, or at least not in the past couple of years, I feel like.
No, I agree with you. I think it depends on, what part of the warehouse they're getting it from. There's a whole bunch of factors, and all this stuff is kind of cyclical. I think you will see Elijah Craig barrel proofs jump up in proof a little bit more, but the B521 was 118.2. It was the lowest ECBP to date. This one's 120.2. So I really enjoyed the A. We know that. You know that. Zeke enjoyed the A more. Did you?
I remember liking the B, and it, some of the ways it was different than previous batches, to where, if you got past the proof not being there, or, just chasing that number on a sticker, I thought profile-wise it was a pretty good offering, though.
What did you think about this whiskey, Zeke Baker?
Nose-wise, I didn't get a ton of different directions or senses, and I even just wrote down vibrant oak. I don't know. It was just kind of when I think about straight bourbon whiskey and nosing something, I mean, yeah, to a degree, the usual suspects are there. But what really stood out, it just seemed a very vibrant, young oak type product. Palate-wise, I thought there was warm and some youth. The tannins seemed to show up more on the middle, and for some reason I really picked them up on the sides of my tongue, and I thought it was just something weird the first time I tasted it, but literally the sides of my tongue on the mid and back of this really kick up a good bit. After the tannins in the middle, the rye kicked in pretty well for me. Has a pretty strong hug at the finish, I thought, and that's not normally something I pick up or jump on too much. I would say overall it feels a little younger and a little rougher around the edges. It definitely doesn't seem polished.
It wasn't like young oak. I got a crap ton of oak and tobacco.
Maybe not younger necessarily is being the best word, but it definitely didn't have that kind of mellowness you get with something that has a lot of age on it. And something just popped in my head would be kind of like some of the Booker's releases. I mean, sometimes those are a really good balance, and you get that sweet bean flavor with the high octane, high proof, everything else. And then sometimes you say, whoo, kind of get a little water.
It's kind of like Untamed. It's not necessarily young to me, because I don't get a young whiskey on this at all. It's like an untamed horse. It's a wild horse, and it's not completely broken and it's not completely wild. It's somewhere in between. There's like a children's show called Spirit. It's a wild horse and it comes and hangs out with this girl. That's kind of how I feel about this one. I think I love the mouthfeel. It's got a big, thick mouthfeel. I'm jumping around because you've kind of hit the nail on the head on a lot of this stuff. I just kind of disagree with the interpretation. Nose and taste both have a huge oak and tobacco presence to me, with a little bit of spice on the mouth. But what I would say there is that it's not a drying oak, and it's not like that young fresh oak. Like it is a mature oak to me. I just don't get dry mouth from it. I think whenever I get that, I'm really impressed and I enjoy that. I think the spice is just the right amount of spice. Like for an ECBP, this is a kind of crushable pour, which is not what I typically expect from them. It went down easy for me, and you know our palates are opposite. So I wish when we were doing these shows, you could see the look Zeke gives me when I say some things sometimes, because he's just like, I do not agree with you at all with that.
I mean, I wouldn't call this a crusher by any means. I mean, I would say alternatively, if you didn't know the proof and you had this blind, you wouldn't guess it's as low as it is. This thing really turns up for me in the mid and the back. I mean, it's a pump the brakes-er.
No, the spice is there towards the back, but it's the back of the roof of my mouth. It gets a little pop roxy. But I would still say that the oak and the tobacco and the mouthfeel, and yeah, it's a little bit of spice in there, but for 120 proofer, there's no Kentucky hug whatsoever. Like, yeah, there's some spice that's jumping up in there, but the spice that's jumping up in the back of your mouth and the proof are going to be two different things in this situation. There is no burn whatsoever from this pour.
I get a pretty good singe on the back, but that's just me.
But like, do you feel it in your chest once it goes down your throat? Do you feel it anywhere?
It's definitely lingering. You know, you just go around the turn, right? You know, where the hug kind of starts and is the most noticeable. You know, right there as it goes down the back of the tongue.
So like, that's not your chest, because the hug is in your chest. You're talking about
I don't ever get that. Like I couldn't tell you anything that did that for me unless it was something I wouldn't want to drink. This leads that like tickle and warmth in the back of my throat where almost like heartburn kicks up to begin with.
So you're saying this is the Kentucky choke?
I mean, I don't know. I've never gotten the hug in my chest kind of thing. I don't understand that, but
your hugs happen in your neck?
In my throat, there's definitely some warmth kicking up again, almost like mild heartburn or reflux or whatever when it first pops up on you. This would be that thing, like when you go to lay down in bed at night and you realize like, oh shit, I'm gonna have heartburn in about an hour because you get that weird like light burning sensation in the back of your throat.
Do you try to go to bed at that point and just sleep it off, or do you get up and go for some Tums?
I don't do Tums. I'll try and find some medicine or drink some milk or eat a piece or two of bread.
Those are what you suggest?
Surprisingly, bread does pretty good.
I've never tried the whole bread thing.
Just a slice or two of regular white bread with some milk, dude.
All right, dude.
I mean, worst case, you can give it to the dogs to eat since they eat everything else around there.
We don't give them people food, but okay.
Maybe you should give them people food, then they wouldn't eat people's items.
I only wish they wouldn't eat my stuff.
Maybe that's where your psychology is going wrong here with them. If you gave them the normal stuff like that, they wouldn't be so, overzealous to go after, things that aren't even food items.
Fair. But I enjoyed this. I mean, especially, I think it goes without saying, and I know we do this trying to give you kind of an interpretation of what we get from it and give you an idea as to what to expect. If you see Elijah Craig Barrel Proof on a shelf when you walk into a store, Zeke, regardless of whether or not you love it, at $70, say the retailer's putting it out at MSRP, are you leaving that thing there or are you walking out?
No, I mean, it's always a good buy. I mean, but if you're going to be subjective on giving an opinion, then obviously we've got to think or say something. That's where I would almost say it's kind of rank or file this under would be a person sees or hears ECBP. Yes. Then they see or hear 120.2. Man, well, it's probably not going to be the best, yada, yada. But if they don't know the proof, I think it, falls in line pretty well with most other releases. I just think that's where it's going to have that kind of weird back and forth of, in a blind, how would you rank this versus seeing knowing what it is? Because you're just going to tell yourself, how everybody has it on proof these days. Oh, 120.2, it's probably not going to be the best, kind of low. Because they did the same thing with the B. I thought it was a mighty fine release. There wasn't anything wrong with it.
I mean, you really did like that a little bit more than where I was at with the B.
Yeah.
I'm probably ACB this year.
I think I'll probably go BAC, just guessing. I mean, this isn't bad at all.
No, that's just funny that you would go BAC.
It's kind of like, not to compare it to the kids down the street because the flavors are different, but this really reminds me of Booker's in a lot of ways. It's just kind of got that little bit of boldness, roughness, punch you a little bit going, all right there, bud.
So kind of like you.
Didn't know you were going to button hook me.
we thank Elijah Craig and Heaven Hill for sending this our way. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, if you like oak, if you like an Oaky or Heaven Hill, which has come up a lot recently, I think, with a lot of pours that have been coming out of there. If you like an Oaky or Heaven Hill, this is the season of oak. But it's not oak that is a dry oak. It's just got oak. It's got more oak than some of the other stuff. Oak and tobacco, I feel like this one pairs super with a cigar. If that's your jam, go find C921. And if you like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, I don't think there's anybody that's going to taste this and not at least feel like they got their money's worth for $70.
Oh, yeah. No, I would definitely agree with you on that one.
Well, go ahead, y'all. Find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Somewhere in good old Tennessee.
Yeah, I'll be in East Tennessee this weekend. Come find me at Grains and Grits. Cheers.
Ciao.